This is Southern Gospel Now, your weekly look inside the artist and songs that you know and love. I'm Greg Goodman, your host. Southern Gospel Now is made possible by Daywind.com, where you'll find Southern Gospel soundtracks and music. We begin this week with a big announcement for the National Quartet Convention. NQC Executive Vice President Clark Beasley tells us about the new title sponsor of the event.
Well, we are absolutely thrilled to have In Touch Ministries as our title sponsor this year. Dr. Stanley and his team at In Touch have advanced the gospel in countless ways and have accomplished a great deal of kingdom work. And we believe that NQC's mission and In Touch's mission are completely aligned as we both seek to spread the gospel to a world that desperately needs it. So we are delighted to be partnered with them.
The National Quartet Convention will take place September 24th through the 30th this year. The event is often referred to as the granddaddy of them all, talking about the special place that NQC holds among Southern Gospel festivals and events. Becky Bowman was involved in a very serious car accident in mid-December. She's been confined to a wheelchair with minimal movement since the accident. She recently gave an update on her condition.
He was getting ready to write the order of my next space, and I said, "So what does this mean?" And he said, "I'm lifting all restrictions. You can wait there 100%. You can stand. You can begin the process of walking." I began to weep and cry, and I said, "Can I hug you?" And he said, "Sure." And so we as a family had our crying moment and thanking the Lord.
So glad to know that Becky is on her way to a full recovery. Joseph Habedank's current single is Judas. Joseph says Judas is judged very critically, but maybe he shouldn't be.
It's so easy for us to look down on Judas. It's so easy to look at the betrayal. It's so easy to think, I would never do that. And the truth is, because of our humanity and because of our sinful nature, we are no better than Judas. And who's to say that we wouldn't do the same thing?
Justified Quartet has brought back a classic cathedral song. Randy Lewis talks about Turn Your Back.
How do you take a song that was recorded 40 years ago by the cathedrals and make it fresh? We gave it to Bob Caldwell, Tim's brother, who is no stranger to Southern gospel music. Let him do the vocal arrangements on it, and we took it into the studio and just had a ball with it. We are really surprised at the response to it.
The current radio single for the Whisnants is He Won't Stay Gone. Jeff Whisnant talks about the concept of the song.
In this day and hour that we live in, where there are imminent signs that the return of our Lord Jesus Christ could be very soon, I get excited about the message of our brand new radio single. It simply says, He didn't stay dead, and He won't stay gone.
Gary Casto and Josh Singletary spent time in another group before they formed Tribute. That group was the Wilburns. Gary talks about the influence of the group on Tribute Quartet.
Josh and I had the privilege of traveling with the Wilburns for many years, Mr. Jackie and Miss Elaine Wilburn. When they retired in 2005, they passed the mantle over to Josh and I, and that's when we formed Tribute Quartet. And, Jackie and Elaine will always hold a special part in our hearts. They were encouragers. Jackie has now gone home to be with the Lord, and Elaine, she's still doing great. Talk to her every week or so.
Southbound's current song is Lost and Found. What does it have to do with ugly houses? Clint Brown here to give you an analogy.
I was driving down the road one day in Orlando, and I saw a sign that caught my attention so much, and it said this, it said, "We buy ugly houses." And I got to thinking, that's all God does. He came to purchase ugly houses. It's no slight against us, but it's really about Him. And He says, the reason I want you in the condition you're in is because I know what I can do with you after I get you in my hands.
Jason Clark of the Nelons addresses the crowd at one of the group's recent concerts about the goodness of God.
We're just like you guys. We go through so much stuff, and life just has a way of if you focus on your problems, if you begin to take inventory of all the sadness and all the hurt and all the pain and all the despair and all the evil and the wickedness and everything that's just spiraling out of control, if you begin to focus on those things and take inventory of all of that, my friends, you will quickly be in a defeated state of mind and exactly where the enemy wants us. But when God's children, in spite of the troubles, in spite of the pain, when we began to sing of his goodness, do you realize how crazy that sounds to a hurting world? But to us it makes perfect sense, because Jesus said, I have overcome the world. And he said, the peace that I give you is not peace that the world gives. It's my peace I give unto you. That's why we can sing of his goodness in the hardest times of life. In the longest days where the pain is so real. We've been going through so much as a family, and it just seems like it's one wave after another, and I never want to magnify our problems on a platform. But I also want to say in all those trials and all those difficulties that we have faced as a family, every single time God has done something so significant, so real. He has manifested his power and his presence and his peace in such a new and just a confirming and affirming way that every single time our faith grows, and every single time we just say, God, all we can do is sing of your goodness.
Taking a look at the Power 50 weekly chart, The Sound is at number 1 this week with Never Not God. Well, that's all for our report this week. If you missed episodes of Southern Gospel Now, you can find them wherever you find podcasts, or you can listen at southerngospelnow.com. Southern Gospel Now is brought to you by Daywind.com. I'm Greg Goodman. Thanks for listening. Love your neighbor. And I'll see you next week for another edition of Southern Gospel Now.